Welcome back to another tutorial. This one is going to be complicated, as most of them are these days. First step, I want you to go to this link and hit the download button here. This is, as it says, Zulu's free controllers and keyboard prompts. So this should give you an idea of where we're going. Basically, this is a pack of symbols that will have all of the controller buttons we could possibly need to tell the player to press. Once that's downloaded, the uncompressed folder should look something like this. And if we go into keyboard and mouse and we go to dark, we can see a whole bunch of keys there. Everything from 0 all the way down to Z, space, tab, shift. Everything you could possibly want to show the player which button to press. And since I've last seen the pack, there's also the Xbox Series X prompts and Xbox One and PS4 and PS5. Once you've got this pack, we're going to import it into our project. Come over to your project, make a new folder. I've called mine keyboard controller icons. Once I'm in there, I'm going to drag keyboard and mouse, PS5, and Series X in there. If you want, you can drag in Switch. If you want, you can drag in PS4 and Xbox One. Although, if we're developing a game in this modern age, I can't imagine we'd make it for a previous system, especially if we're making a game as big and grand as I'm sure a lot of you want to make. So let's try dragging that and dropping that in there. And there we go. All of our keys have been imported. And the file directories have copied over as well. So we have blanks and light. You can use light if you want. I'll be using dark. I'm going to get rid of blank and light. The theory is still the same to get these working. So back to the topic at hand, we want these buttons to appear on our screen when it's time to use them. But we're going to create a system that works on all three platforms and automatically identifies what platform you're on. Over in Blueprints in Core, we have a game mode. If I pop into the game mode and open full blueprint editor, this game mode is constantly persistent. It always exists so long as we're playing the game, which means it's the perfect place to put something such as an identifier so that we know what platform we're on. We right click and get platform name. This node here will actually get the name of our platform. We can see here we have Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, PS4, Xbox One, and Linux. I'm not sure if newer versions of Unreal will also have PS5 and a Series X, but the theory, again, is still the same. What I want to do is take this string value and convert it into essentially a drop-down menu. Back over to the test map, we're going to drop down that folder, click on Content, right-click, and create a new folder. This is going to be called Enumerators. Inside the Enumerators folder, we're going to right-click, go over to Blueprints, and come down to Enumeration. I'm going to call this E_platform. So here I'm going to create 3 enumerators for 3 platforms. The first one's going to be Windows 10. You can call it PC if you'd like. The next one is going to be Xbox Series X. And the next one after that is going to be PlayStation 5. So these are the 3 options that we could possibly have. I'm going to save that enumeration, and then I'm going to close that and come back over to the game mode tutorial. Now I'm going to hit the plus sign on variables, and I'm going to hit this drop down under enums, E platform. And I'm going to call this platform. Hold Alt and drag this in. We have a setter. So we want to make this string tell this enumeration variable what platform we have. So to do this, I'm going to grab a branch, drag out of this string, and I'm going to press equals twice. I'm simply going to ask this branch here if this platform name is equal to Windows. And I'm also going to plug this into the event begin plate. We'll put down the event tick down here. So that's our first question. And this is a pretty haphazard way to do it, but we want to just get the job done for now. If we are not Windows, then let's grab this entire line of code here, plug false into this next one, and find out the next platform we have. Next one we'll check for is Xbox One. Xbox One. I'm counting Xbox One as Series X at the moment, just because we're not ready to update this version of Unreal yet, because we're not ready to see if our game breaks yet. That'll be an interesting episode. And if it's not Series X, then we're going to check one more time. If it is, PS4. PS4. And if it is PS4, then we'll call it PlayStation 5. And if you are using a newer version of Unreal Engine, and it does have a difference between Series X and PS5 versus Xbox One and PS4, you can actually add those options to the enumerator. I just want to keep this simple for now because I know that Series X is interchangeable. I don't know what PlayStation's doing now. At the time of filming this video, they just killed the Vita store and the PSP store and the PS3 store. I can't imagine they're any good with backwards compatibility. But I can vouch for Microsoft as an Xbox owner. No shade, just facts. So that's what's going to happen when the game mode spawns in. It's going to set this platform. Next up, let's go down to a user interface and open up our HUD. Get yourself a rich text block and drag that in. I'm going to put my rich text block around here. This is for the text for when we get the prompt to pick something up. I'm going to anchor it to the bottom. Set alignment to 0.5 and 0.5 so it's centered with itself at least. 0 on X. Let's do -300 for now, and size we will align to size of content. I'm going to call this rich text block interaction W10 for Windows 10. So this rich text block, our Windows 10 dialog. Now we're going to create another one in the same spot. We're going to paste it on canvas panel again, which should mean that it ends up in the exact same spot. It's going to be called XSX for Series X. And finally, one last one, pasting on canvas panel, and this one will be PS5. Like so. With rich text blocks, we need a text style set, and we need another thing too. Down here is a decorator. This decorator is going to be the key to our success in this appearing. So let's go and create those decorators. Let's go down to the data folder because we have our standard text style here as well. And here we're going to create two things. Firstly, we're going to create a data table. And we're going to select rich image row and press OK. This is going to be called D_Windows 10. Going to open this data table up, and I'm going to add a few rows to it. The amount of rows we're going to need here should be 18. So 18 here, not here in this number. Now when I select each of these rows, if I click the brush icon here, I get the option to put an image. And this is where it gets good. I'm going to name the first row here Move. And then the next one is going to be Look, because those are the most important controls in our game. The first thing our character will likely do is move and look. Next up, let's call this one Jump. And then I'm going to put in our action reload. Next up, we'll do crouch, and I'm selecting F2 to rename these as with all things in Unreal, and then switch weapons. So that's all of our face buttons on the right side of the controller done. Next we'll do fire, aim, we'll do a melee, and a throw grenade. So that's shoulder buttons and triggers taken care of. Then we'll do our sprint, as we just did sprint the other day. Now we'll do mark, because we're going to set up a system where we can mark enemies later on. We'll do our pause menu and our game menu. Finally, gadget slot, you guessed it, 1. Gadget slot 2. Gadget slot 3. And gadget slot 4. Now for this to work the way that I've intended, all of these need to be the same across PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Now we'll move on to duplicating that, and we'll call this one, not Windows 11, oh boy, wouldn't that be fun, Xbox. We could even get rid of that 10 at the end. Window, no, let's do that. And duplicate one more time, PlayStation. Pop into Windows, and now we're going to select the images that correspond to the buttons that we would use to control our character. So moving is going to be tricky because for movement you have WASD, and if you check this pack, we have separate buttons for WASD. We don't have one image for all of them. Again, this has to be the same. So we'll come back to move. Let's do look and find the mouse. You can see here we have a few mice. We have left, middle, and right keys, but we just want simple. And you can see that icon here. Jump is going to be spacebar. Action reload for this particular game is actually E. If you're having trouble finding it in the drop down, feel free to find it in the actual imports, keyboard controller icons, and keyboard mouse dock. You can find it here. As we've done before, there's E key dark. We can go back over here and use asset browser like so. Crouch is control. Switch weapons is Q. This is a little bit tedious, but I promise you it pays off later. Fire is that left mouse button. Aim is the right mouse button. We haven't done melee yet. We haven't done throw grenade. We've done sprint. Sprint is going to be shift. We haven't done mark, but we have done pause menu. In this case, it's probably not going to be the same button. We're using tab at the moment, so we'll put tab in for now, but if we want to use escape at a later date, we have to remember to come back and change this. Game menu, we're currently using I. Gadget slot 1 is going to be the number 1. Gadget slot 2 is the number 2. Gadget slot 3 is the number 3. And gadget slot 4 is the number 4. So we have almost all of our keys for this to be set up. Let's save that. I'm going to do the first key in the Series X area, but then I'm just going to fast forward the footage because you don't need me to walk you through it. So come back to data, open up D_Xbox and use the appropriate keys. The first one for Xbox is going to be down in Series X, the left stick, so L, and then looking is going to be the right stick. You can tell the difference here. We even have a button to click because these guys are absolutely awesome when they create their packs. I'm going to fast forward the rest. Now for meleeing, I'm going to use the right button when we eventually get there, and throwing grenades is going to be the left button, and marking is going to be clicking in the right stick. For those unfamiliar with the Xbox keys, for those PlayStation people out there, the 3 lines here would be where the start button is. So that would be our pause menu. And the 2 squares would be our game menu for the select button. And even though I've been playing Xbox for a few years, I still say select. And that's my Xbox keys done. If you're a PlayStation person, then you can go and fill out the PlayStation section. I'm going to do mine off camera just because this is a bit time consuming. We're going to run with the Xbox buttons for now. And then I'll also test PlayStation later.